The city's newest, brightest public art is now on display in the North Temple neighborhood, also known as the Note District. Colorful Connections is an art installation by Tracy O'Very Covey, and it's meant to welcome visitors as well as celebrate community. Whether you're on your way to downtown or off to the airport, take a moment to stop and enjoy this work of art as well as many others. On this week's episode of Capital City News, we hear from Hailey Leek, the city's new census coordinator. And our History Minute is about the creation of Taffy Town. Let's get started with our legislative update and look back.
At its September 17th meeting, the City Council was briefed about census trends that challenged the affordability of housing stock by the Kem C. Gardner Policy Institute, approved a resolution that began the process of formally considering the boundary adjustment between Salt Lake City and Mill Creek, accepted public comment on the first budget amendment of the fiscal year, and conducted interviews to approve appointments to a number of city boards and commissions. To learn more, visit slc.gov/council.
Pioneer Park now sports a new multi-use field in the center of the park.
Tonight we are here to celebrate the completion of a nearly $1 million upgrade to our beloved Pioneer Park. After nearly 4 years of outreach, study, and collaboration, Salt Lake City's Parks and Public Lands Division has completed changes to ensure this park continues to meet its mission as a place for community.
The Pioneer Park Coalition pitched in $300,000 toward the cost, while the RDA and the Capital Improvement Program covered the rest. Construction began in summer of 2018 to enhance safety and security and activate this community asset. Other improvements include new lights to allow for evening events, a looping path for walking, and 24 new sycamore trees.
We have the opportunity to make Pioneer Park what it should be, Salt Lake City's premier urban core green space.
Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County collaborate to shed light on Utah's growing diverse community through an official Welcoming Week launch. The event celebrated the spirit of unity through storytelling, featuring speakers from Utah's immigrant and refugee community, art exhibits, dance, and more. Welcoming Week is a national campaign urging cities to work together to build stronger ties and connections within their communities. To learn more about events and ways to participate, visit the website. Playful and bright artwork highlighting a sense of community and connection can now be seen in Salt Lake City's North Temple neighborhood, also known as the Note District. The city celebrated its newest public art project, Colorful Connection by Tracy O'Very. The mixed media installation was designed to welcome visitors and residents into the neighborhood and Grand Boulevard of Salt Lake City. Every decade, our nation gets to count its population, and the next time we do this will be in 2020. Salt Lake City wants to be sure that its residents understand the need to participate and how the census data will impact us. Hailey Leek is Salt Lake City's new census coordinator, who will talk to us a little bit about her unique role and plans for engagement around the census.
Once every 10 years, everybody living in the United States is counted. It's a huge effort to see what our communities look like, what the household situations are looking like. Are more students living with their parents? So the census is a snapshot of our communities and what our country looks like in 2020. So Salt Lake City is pulling its efforts to outreach and engagement efforts to target hard-to-count populations. And that includes children under the age of 5, students, the elderly, immigrants, refugees. So we're really focusing our outreach and engagement efforts to engage those communities to make sure they feel confident and safe to complete the census and they have accurate information. So we'll do a media and marketing campaign to share information to them. We'll target it, the information to show them how the census affects them on a local level, that, hey, you live in a neighborhood with not enough schools. That's because you live in a neighborhood that was undercounted for the last census. So we're really trying to talk to people about the importance on a local level and bring it back home to them to help them understand it. The census is political empowerment. So no matter how much money you make, where you live, everyone counts equally, including resident status, citizenship status. So the census is about how many people live in our communities to get a better understanding of like where businesses should build, how much schools we should build. So for instance, our Salt Lake City's targeting its census outreach effort to count children under the age of 5. They're historically been undercounted. So a big case in point is that students who aren't counted, by the time they get to kindergarten, are there seats for them in the classroom? Is there enough schools in your community? So the census affects everyone from age 0 up until 99. It includes like how much we get for Medicaid, Medicare. So it's really important that everyone in the state is counted because it's about funding. The census is a federal government effort. It's protected by law, by federal law, under something called Title 13. So everybody, all the Census Bureau workers are sworn to protect information. They take a lifetime oath. All census data is protected for 75 years. So only the Bureau gets access to that information, not ICE, not the police, not the FBI, CIA. That information's purely demographic to see how many people are living in our communities and get a better snapshot of what our communities look like, diversity-wise. This is the first census that same-sex couples can tell, say that they're living with someone on the opposite sex, or it's just to get a better snapshot of what our communities look like in 2020. You'll get information come March 12th, 2020. 80% of the population will get a mailer inviting them to complete the census online. And they can go online and fill it out. This is called the first modern census because it is the first time you can complete the survey online. The rest of the population will get a paper mailer asking them to fill it out through paper and then mail it back to the census. You also have the opportunity to call in. Census right now is only in 2 languages through paper and online, but when you call in, there's over 13 different languages, and I think actually online too. But you're able to call and give your answers as well. The Census Bureau, as a tip, will never call you. We're also part of our outreach campaign trying to keep people savvy about scams that might involve the census. The Census Bureau will never call you. So come March 12th, you're able to do it online, through the mail, or call and give your information.
And now it's time for our History Minute.
In the 19-teens, James Vernon Glade was working as a miner in Park City and struggling to make ends meet. He used the change in his pocket to buy enough materials to make a 5-pound bag of candy that he intended to sell. The rest was history. By 1922, Glade Candy Company was incorporated and thriving. In 1939, they built the iconic Art Deco headquarters on 800 South between Main Street and West Temple that would house them for almost 80 years. The Glade Candy Company was a staple in the community. "If it's Glade, it's good" was a slogan that served them as they served many western states with their candy. Eventually, the variety of candy they sold couldn't keep up with the amount of taffy they were producing, and most of those products were eliminated to focus solely on the saltwater confection. Even though the Glade business had stayed completely in the family for more than 100 years, the Glade Company building got a new sign proclaiming it Taffy Town, and it served as their home until 2017, when they moved to a larger facility in West Jordan.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Capital City News. Join us next time to stay up to date on all the latest. If you're in the North Temple, Note District neighborhood, come on down and check out the artwork. For SLCtv, I'm Poonam Kumar.